We honour the First Peoples of Australia, their unbroken ties to Aboriginal law, culture and customs. We respect the traditional owners of the lands and waters we inhabit and acknowledge their elders past and present. We celebrate the enrichment of Aboriginal communities around Australia. We recognise the lasting impact of colonisation and dispossession. We salute those who have fought for the rights of First Peoples. Their legacy is our guiding light today and always.
I can't take it anymore!
Good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning, Blurtstars, wherever you are around the world. You are listening to the Blurt.
Hi, I am Keely, and tonight I'm coming to you from Wurundjeri country of the Kulin Nation of the Wurundjeri people. Sovereignty was never ceded, always has been, and always will be Aboriginal land. Look, good evening to you, or afternoon, or morning, or wherever the hell you are. If you are listening to this in your car, I hope you will have a very nice journey. Or if you're watching it on YouTube, enjoy that as well. What is it? Oh, just have a look at the temperature here for us at the moment. Oh, there you go. I'm getting a balmy 1 degrees. No, 5 degrees. There you go. So it's pretty cold down here in Melbourne at the moment. But I thought I might just start off with what's on the show tonight. We have a lot on the show, so just strap in. For starters, we've got Blurt Around the World, and if you've never been with us before, that's basically we go around the world and tell you about weird and wonderful things that may be happening. And tonight we'll talk about a chicken that wins the Guinness World Book of Records. What record? Well, we'll find out. What is NAIDOC? When is it, and why is it important? We'll have a bit of a chat about that. Greece is introducing a 6-day week. Can you believe that? I know there was some experimentation, I think it was last year, on 4-day weeks, which is where we're meant to be going. What the hell is Greece doing? You're letting your side down, Greece! Anyway, UK elections on in 2 days' time, and they feel like the Tories and Conservatives in the UK are going to be wiped out, and even the Reform Party, it looks like it's going to get more votes at this stage. Anyway, we'll have a little bit of a look at that. On Trump Watch, what's happening there, and his 4 criminal cases. There was a new Supreme Court case that had just landed, I think today or yesterday, and that's going to affect a few of those cases. We'll have a look at that as well. We've got reality checks tonight. We haven't done reality check for a little while, which aka fact check. And Wencee's going to be fact-checking Spud's nuclear power for Australia, because we know there's heaps of lies and complete and utter total crap. So Wencee's going to be checking that out. And I am going to be checking the facts of the Trump in the debate in 2024. That was only the other week, where poor old Biden, I think he was under the weather because, unfortunately, he couldn't get too many words out. But unfortunately for us, the ones that Orange Hair did get out were nearly all lies, and we'll talk about that. And I have someone else who's going to back me up on that as well. And then just to clean up the show, last one off the bat is Nature Calls, where we talk about what's happening. It could be flora or fauna. In this case, I think it's fauna, and I am going to be talking about, as it says in our title, frogs in a jacuzzi. What does it mean? Why are we talking about frogs in a jacuzzi? Is it cruel? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's wonderful. Anyway, we'll find out. Wencee's going to chat about wildlife photos of the year, which I always love seeing, because we've got to get some show and tell, and there's some fantastic pictures in there. So before we go any further, as I just said, Wencee's going to talk about that. And who is Wencee? Well, Wencee is the co-hostest with the mostest, and he is coming in right now. Good evening, Wencee!
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your wonderful applause. But before I do start on this show, I do want to acknowledge the stolen lands of the Yagra and Turrbal people. Sovereignty was never ceded, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Yeah, how you doing? Cold, by the looks of it.
I'm good. Well, yeah, I know. We have the heater on, but I try not to go much past 18.5 in the house. What do you have it set up to up there? Like, I mean, if you have aircon on, what do you set it to?
Aircon in summer, I think around about 21, 22 in winter. At the moment, I've got it set to 26.
26.
But I will turn it off in 5 minutes. I only put it on for a few minutes, and then as soon as I start feeling warm, I just go, okay, done.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it doesn't stay on.
26. You pay a lot for 26. Believe me. Anything over 19 degrees, you are paying through the roof.
Right.
I've got a dad that was an aircon engineer, so he used to always tell us when we were younger. He always said, "You don't want to be any more than 19 degrees."
19 feels so cold, though.
Yes, well, I've got it at 18.5 here, and I've got a fleece on.
Yeah.
It's not a huge house, so it heats up pretty fast as soon as it comes on.
And this is only a small room, so it doesn't take long to warm up.
Yeah, but you got a pretty big house there, though, don't you? I mean, to heat the whole house type thing. To keep those huntsmen warm.
Don't talk to me about that. Literally, it was the size of my palm this afternoon. It was huge.
Yes, that's big. That's big, and that would scare the bejesus out of me as well, my friend. So, but anyway, so look, we've got heaps on the show tonight, so we need to get into it. What I did want to do, first thing off the bat, we'll talk about it afterwards, but first thing off the bat, I did want to do this because we chatted about Julian Assange last week, and we talked about I think Bradley Manning. Really? We talked about Bradley Manning, who actually is Chelsea Manning, because Bradley Manning had a sex change between the time of being deploying the secrets, etc., and the time of when that she went to jail. So, okay, so what was to go there? So we talked about it, and I said last week, if you listened to the show, I said I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't know a lot about it, and I would rather get some good information. So, as I like to do, I have some good information. So here we go. So Chelsea Manning is a former United States Army intelligence analyst who gained international attention for leaking a large cache of classified military documents to WikiLeaks in 2010. So Assange never actually leaked it. It was Chelsea Manning, and that's why she went to jail for so long. Yeah. And also, there's conjecture as well about lots of journalists leaking that information before Assange did. Right. So, there's...
Was it that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks just exposed tens of thousands as opposed to a few that maybe other journalists were doing? Or
look, I think it's a little bit of that, but I also think it was some of the stuff that he released that maybe the journalists didn't, or they were looking at a different angle, really, really upset the Americans at the time. Now, one thing I will say is his information that he released, it did assist Orangehead becoming president.
Yeah, right. All those years later.
It did, because he released information that was private to the government, and then Orangehead released that publicly, and then it looked like the government was doing a shifty or whatever, and maybe the government was to a certain extent, but it wouldn't have made any difference to a certain extent either with him becoming president, because everything obviously went down the toilet when he did. So Assange actually assisted him. So it's quite interesting, because I've heard Marjorie Taylor Greene talk about this. We've talked about her on the phone before, on the show before. She's a complete nutbag, right wing nut job. And she was talking to Sarah Ferguson the other night, and she just went off her head because she was extolling all the virtues of Julian Assange. Marjorie Taylor Greene was, and then as soon as Sarah Ferguson asked her one question about her fealty to Orange Head and not accepting the judgment of the people if he loses, etc., and certified votes, she just went absolutely ballistic. So it was interesting. It was very interesting, and basically they just had to shut the interview down. But anyway. So background, early life, Bradley Edward Manning was born in Oklahoma, and a gender transition, or I think do they call that a gender birth or something, or is it just called a gender transition?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay. Well, in 2013, no worries. So in 2013, Manning announced her gender transition and changed her name to Chelsea Elizabeth Manning. Manning was arrested in 2010, multiple offences, including violations, the Espionage Act. The interesting thing about that is that's what Orange Head had just been arrested for with the classified documents. That's against the Espionage Act. But we'll talk about that when we get into Trump Watch. There's a couple of things on that now, which are really not good. Trial and sentencing in 2013. She was convicted on 17 of 22 charges and sentenced to 35 years in prison. But Barack Obama commuted her service when he got in and released her in 2017 after she served 7 years.
Wow. Okay.
The controversies and challenges, legal issues, including being jailed for contempt of court in 2019 for refusing to testify before a grand jury investigating WikiLeaks. And the public perception remains that she's a polarizing figure, whistleblower and transparency advocate, while criticised by others for leaking classified information. So, I mean, I know we always talk about, whistleblowers and transparency in politics and in different businesses and et cetera, but look how many whistleblowers have gone to jail lately in Australia. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah. It's become so bad that you're not getting that many whistleblowers daring to come out and provide that needed service, and governments, and that also means that governments are going to get away with a lot more bad stuff because there's no accountability.
No, it's pretty terrible, actually. Penny Wong just wrote an article the other day that headlined just letting Assange know, although it wasn't, aimed exactly at Assange, but it was like a generalization warning to anyone that wants to leak government information, that we have laws in this country, et cetera. We're looking at you, Assange.
I did not know that one.
Yeah. That article just came out just the other day. So, but no, just recently it was like 5 whistleblowers over the last few months have gone to jail, and there was one that blew the whistle on the ATO because they were a bunch of bastards, and that poor guy has to do 100+ years in jail. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, stupid.
But anyway, it is a little bit silly. So, talking about silly.
Blurt Around the World. Around the World. Around the World. Around the World.
You want to start with UK election?
We talked about it briefly last week, didn't we? UK elections are only 2 days away, our time. So probably this time on Thursday they'll be starting to vote and things like that, and then overnight, obviously, they'll close the ballots. From memory, I think they close at 10 o'clock at night on voting day.
In the UK, is that
in the UK?
So does that mean Friday morning or Friday evening we should know who the new Prime Minister is of the UK?
Yeah, pretty much. And as we spoke last week, it looks like Labor under Sir Keir Starmer.
Keir Starmer. Yeah.
I guess it's like Weir, W-E-I-R, so Keir.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I will remember that now.
I think it's Welsh, but I'm not sure.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, so like we discussed last week, his party looked like they're going to dominate the election. Even though he's a bit bland, according to some, boring, dour, Tory-like. Yeah, it's a bit pragmatic with his manner and things like that. So totally different to Jeremy Corbyn, who was the ex-leader of Labor.
Well, he was pretty much a hardcore socialist, and he was almost a Remainer. That was the real problem with him.
That's right. Yeah.
He was almost a Remainer. In fact, I think he would have been a Remainer if he wasn't in the Labour Party. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you talk about boring and all the rest of it, and that's fine. But gee whiz, look how good these leaders with charisma are for your country. Look at what Orange Head did to America. That was just terrible. Pulled out of Paris Accord. Yeah, absolutely. And then Bojo in the UK. What a waste of space he was.
Yeah.
So
and France is going down the same path with the right wing parties winning there as well, potentially.
It's all over Europe. It's all over Europe.
Oh, exactly.
Even in Germany, which is freaking unheard of, considering that that's where it all started. The right wing side of things, if you know what I mean. Nationalist parties and all those sort of things, and obviously Hitler and whatever. It was interesting, actually. I'm listening to, as you know, I'm always listening to a podcast. But I was listening to one called Revisionist History, and it's a fantastic podcast. And the latest one
reviewed, I believe, from memory.
Yes, I have. It's fantastic. And the latest one they're doing is called Hitler's Olympics.
Oh, right.
And it's really, it is. It's really, really interesting. It's just, so many things, we don't know, et cetera, but especially the fact that people actually went to the Olympics when they actually realized what he was like, sort of thing. And look, it was really interesting. But the part I was going to bring up was all the bit where, of Hitler, where he's shouting, and, he's always, because every time we see him, he's always shouting, etc. Well, that wasn't his idea, which probably wouldn't surprise you. Someone came to him and said they saw this, I can't remember who it was, but they were shouting these exclamations, etc. And he was just, at the time, I think it was 1933 or 1934, he was trying to get the party off the ground type thing, because he'd failed a few years before. And so this messaging of shouting and exclaiming and all this sort of stuff, he went, oh, that's what we need. That's what we need to do. And that's sort of where it came from.
Right.
So it's, absolutely. Sorry. I digress as usual. Go for it.
Oh, that's right. That's what we do. We're so good at it.
It's very true. You're talking about the UK elections. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, that's all I really had. I was just reminding people that election's on in a couple of days. That we'll see how bad it is for the Tories come Friday our time, and we'll probably briefly talk about it again next week, just to see where it all lands.
I'll probably follow it online in real time. If I'm up, or when I can, sort of thing, and just see the seats fill up or unfill or whatever the situation is. But anyway, next cab off the rank, NAIDOC week. Now I believe it's next week, isn't it? NAIDOC week.
Yes, so it's always the first Sunday of July to the next Sunday. So that happens to fall 7th of July to the 13th.
And what is it, Wencee? What is NAIDOC week all about?
It's about you're probably better at defining NAIDOC. You've done a better job of it about it than me over the years, but yeah, you go.
I think it stands for National. Is it National Aboriginal and Indigenous something? Something committee. I'm
Yeah, I
sure
used to know this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a chat with ChatGPT for a second.
Yeah, but this year's theme is keep the fire. Oh, excuse me. Keep the fire burning. Black, loud, and proud is the motto for this year. But yeah, basically, NAIDOC Week celebrates and recognises the history, culture, and achievements of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and that theme is always chosen by the committee every year. So they change the messaging.
And it stands for National Aborigines and Islanders Day Observance Committee.
That's right.
It's been around for a long time. It has been around for a long time. It dates back to the 1920s, 1930s. So
there you go.
And so, okay, so what sort of events do they have planned? Do you know?
All sorts of events, storytelling, exhibitions. They're the main ones. Oh, there's even some language classes being held around the nation.
Nice.
So it depends on where you are. So there is a link on the naidoc.org.au website.
Which
if you just
we'll have
go
in the
to,
show notes.
We will. And yeah, you just go to the local NAIDOC week events, and then you put in your postcode or state, and you can see what's happening in your area. So I think most of them are free. There are kids activities, adult activities. So there should be something there for everyone. Yeah, go have a look, see what's nearby, and learn some interesting information about your local First Nations people.
I think that's a fantastic idea, Wencee. Really, really good. As you say, it's a time for Aussies to come together to celebrate and learn about rich, diverse cultures of the First Nations people and acknowledge their contributions to the country. Acknowledge their contributions. I like that. That's a little bit of an understatement. They've only been here for 60,000 years plus. Acknowledge their contributions. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have even had an environment for us to ruin. So,
and we've still got time to learn from them to manage and look after the land that we inhabit, that they so carefully looked after for all those millennia. So we have lots to learn.
I'm so happy to say that more and more it looks like councils and and councils and states and et cetera, are listening and gleaning information from First Nations rangers and all those sort of positions when it comes to looking after the environment and improving the way that it's looked after, i.e. coal burning and the whole process of and when to burn and what to burn and how to burn. And it was really interesting. We went up to, gee whiz, where was it? It wasn't too far away from Bright. It was up that way, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it is. But it was it wasn't a nursery, but it was a native reserve, if you like. But it's been sort of replanted and re-natified, if you like, etc. It was a beautiful day. It was an amazing day. It was an incredible environment, but very, really, really different. You could totally just imagine sort of walking not that far and you'd be seeing a whole bunch of, Indigenous people living in this particular environment, because it was just exactly like that. The way they're trying to sort of replant it and refurbish the whole area, and you can see all around the area where they've been doing the coal burning processes, and how they only burn certain bits under certain trees, etc., so that understory is getting managed, and so therefore, if there is a bushfire or something like that, you don't get as much heat, and then you don't get as much sort of explosions and all those sort of things through the trees.
It just builds up the fuel, doesn't it? So that it prolongs longer when you do get those fires. They had a great way of managing it all, that's for sure.
Well, the other thing about that too is that when those trees do burn down and you end up getting the young trees back, the problem with that is that the older trees retain more water underneath, so therefore they don't burn as fast.
Yeah, okay.
So when you replant the small trees back, they don't retain any water. So it's basically just like matches sitting there ready to just go.
Yep.
So it's it's pretty, it's a bit sad, really. But we really do need their help. Now, something I didn't have in Batwa, but I Blurt Around the World, but I thought that I might just give it a quick mention. In June 21 this year, there was the annual Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It's one of the most important events on the Muslim calendar, but at least 450 people died because the temperatures range from 108 Fahrenheit to 120, which I'm pretty sure is something like 35 to 40 plus.
Yeah.
And many passed out and needed medical care. So,
when it's also concentrated too, so many tens of thousands of people who do that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a sight to be seen, but
absolutely.
it's just tragic what happened this year. It's just tragic.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% right. But it's been so hot. It's just been, it's been one of the hottest years in history, which is funny because it's so cold down here. But I'm not surprised by that. What I do want to talk about, because I know that we are, as usual, just hammering through the time. Canadian pet chicken identifies letters, numbers to break a world record. And I'll just go through this quite quickly. But this is the chook. I think we should see the chook in a minute, hopefully. There we go.
There it is.
Beautiful chicken, hey?
Yeah.
A beautiful chicken.
Nice.
Very
pretty.
If you can't see
nice
that.
Colours.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. They looked after it. So beautiful. So Gabriola Island, British Columbia, BC, so Canada, chicken named Lacey set a new Guinness World Record by correctly identifying 6 numbers and 6 colors in 1 minute, which is pretty amazing.
Wow.
So Emily Carrington said she bought 5 Highline chickens to produce eggs. Their job was only to peck, to produce eggs. But soon she started training the hens to actually peck numbers or letters. And so she taught them how to do that and ignore the other ones. So she told them exactly which ones she wanted them to peck, and then she told them which ones she wanted to ignore. So even if she added a whole bunch of letters, and they're not the letter they're supposed to peck, they will peck the letter that she trained them to pick.
Right.
So she decided that she decided to have all the chickens attempt a Guinness World Record title for the most tricks a chicken in 1 minute. Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, really? Seriously.
Yeah, why not?
What's chicken for?
Got plenty of time on your hands.
One of the chickens, Lacey, it's it. One of the chickens, Lacey, emerged as the clear winner of the flock, correctly identifying 6 letters and numbers and colors in 1 minute. And the focused nature of the tricks led the Guinness World Record to create a new category for Lacey: the most identifications by a chicken in 1 minute. So beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful job, you, Lacey. Well done.
And you live to tell another tale. Not get it eaten.
You do indeed.
Nice one.
You do indeed. Yeah. Yes. Well done, Lacey. Good stuff. Now, just to round up Blurt Around the World, I thought we might just touch on Greece is deciding to do a 6-day working week. What the actual?
Yeah, so whilst other countries and, like you said earlier, corporations around the world are moving to a 4-day week to improve productivity, the Greeks or the Greek government is going the opposite direction. So union officials, public sector staff, bitterly disappointed, sad, angry at the move.
Well pissed off, I would have thought.
Yes, extremely. And so it's
Hope they get paid
like
for
we
6
said.
days.
Well, it's technically only increasing a few hours a week, but you're working 6 days with unpaid overtime on the other days to make up just over 40 hours a week. So they're making you work longer for less because you're doing the extra unpaid work. So the pro-business government prime minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, says that the initiative was made necessary by the twin perils of a shrinking population and a shortage of skilled workers. So they're having a unique problem where those two items is causing them to have a less productive workforce. Hence why they're forcing them to work longer.
Is that because they're not allowing migrants into their country, so they're down on workforce? Is that what's happening?
I'd say so. I don't know if I haven't seen that aspect to see if that's why they've got a shrinking population, but like most of other countries around the world, we're living longer, so the aging population is becoming a major factor. And I think a lot of the young people aren't having as many children anymore like they used to.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because in America, they are saying that by 2040, they are saying that it will be a minority white country.
Wow.
Because,
there you go.
Historically, blacks and Italians, they have bigger families.
Right.
Sorry, not Italians, Latinas. Have bigger families. Apart from obviously Mormon families and, that sort of stuff. But yeah, historically, they're really down on population. There was something that came up on this the other day. They were saying that, Trump keeps banging his drum about the migrants taking jobs in America. It's true. He's right. They are. But they're not taking jobs off of white people. They're taking jobs off of
they're not
migrants
taking the skilled labor.
No.
Yeah, so speaking of something similar, another issue with the Greek economy is that, I don't know if you remember, but they had a near decade-long debt crisis in
yes, I remember very well.
2009.
Yeah, that drachma went down to 12.
Yeah, exactly. And during that time, nearly 500,000 young, educated Greeks emigrated. So they left the country and they haven't come back, the majority of them. So there's the young workforce that could have been working in Greece, but never came back because the economy was so shit.
They still have national service too, I think, don't they?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so that's another reason they're not coming back.
Yeah, I wouldn't come back.
No. Well, a mate of mine who's Greece always says that, Greece is whatever. I mean, the Greek islands are pretty special, but apparently Greece isn't.
I've heard sort of similar, but obviously people are quite nice, especially outside of the cities, and you go to the country towns and they're all quite friendly and picturesque landscape and historical and all that. But yeah, I can't imagine the economy being that great, especially going through that crisis they did.
Well, yeah. I mean, the economy's been smashed for so long, and they've owed Europe a lot of money. Like apparently, they've been the weakest economy in Europe for the longest time.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many people are going to be happy with this decision. Although,
No,
I'm not sure I'm not sure with their government in Greece if it's sort of a right-wing government or what the situation is there. I'm pretty sure they're not centrist, but I'm not. I'm not 100% sure. But people who voted them in, I don't think we're very happy to know they can be working more hours. So, but
yeah.
anyway.
So, terrible, but we'll see what happens.
Wow, something else that doesn't make us particularly happy. It is that time, unfortunately.
I need 11,000 votes.
Losers only. It's Trump Watch. China.
Yeah, look, it is Trump Watch, and it's going to be a moderately quick one tonight because we've got quite a lot going on. But I thought I might just give you a guide to what's going on with old Orange Head at the moment with his 4 criminal not convictions, but his 4 criminal cases. One thing I thought I would say at the top is that there was a Supreme Court decision that came through today, and hence the name of me tonight, King of the USA. That's alluding to a court case that came down by the Supreme Court 6 versus 3, which was all the 6 conservative judges. They've decided that Orange Head has immunity being the president.
In every situation? For official acts.
Right. Not unofficial acts.
Right.
And now they have passed this on to the lower courts to work out what the fuck that means.
Right. Surely the hush money case wasn't and can't be classified as official because he wasn't president at the time. So surely that charge would still stick.
Well, that's a beautiful thing to bring up, Wencee, because I was just reading earlier about the fact that he's now trying to get his lawyers to overturn that case.
Right, of course he is.
As soon as this came through, he's trying to get that quashed. But the judge has been quite staunch on this one. He said, "No, this has got nothing to do," as you just rightly said. This has nothing to do with official acts, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So saying that, this time, no, next Thursday. Next Thursday is when he's being sentenced.
So not this Thursday, next week, right? Okay.
Yeah. So we will find out. Yeah, we'll find out if he's going to be picking up rubbish or what he's doing. So no, he wasn't able to overturn that, which is not great. So anyway, the US Supreme Court ruled that he had partially immunity in perhaps the most serious cases he faces, that he tried to overturn the 2020 election. This is a real issue now because the counsel, Jack Smith, who is the prosecutor for the case of trying to overturn the election. There is a problem there now because they can interpret what he was doing was an official act, although we absolutely know it wasn't, and it had nothing to do with him being president.
Yeah.
Well, it did, but it had nothing. It didn't have anything to do with the day-to-day job. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, federal prosecutors allege. Sorry, go for it.
I was just going to say, especially when it was the people who voted, so it wasn't really something that he could control or anything like that, could he? To overturn. Yeah, the result, which is part of the insurrection.
Oh, yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. 100% people. Yeah, 81 million people voted for not for you to be president. Admittedly, you still got 74, but you didn't have enough.
Yeah.
So, just suck it up, you little
Yeah.
baby.
Yep.
Anyway, this baby is very, very dangerous now, and his whole organization, I'm not going to talk too much about it tonight, but if you want to know about it, it's called Project 2025. If you read about it, it will terrify you, so probably maybe don't. But just know that it is a terrible manifesto, and what it talks about in there is just ripping a whole any sort of checks and balances in the system over there apart, and it will just be a complete and utter debacle if they get to use that. So yeah, it's against the Constitution. It's against so many things. But if you are interested, it's called Project 2025. And if he doesn't get in, they'll probably still have Project 2026 or Project 2029. It's something that the GOP will try to bring in at some stage, because there's so many things in there that they believe in. The other thing you got to remember is that there's far more Democratic voters than Republican voters, and there always has been. It just depends on whether they can get off their ass to get out and vote. So
can I just quickly?
Yeah, of course you can. Go for it.
I just quickly did a research on this Project 25, just very quickly. Four main aims, just to scare the shit out of you. Restore the family as the centerpiece of American life, number one. Number two, dismantle
that means anti-abortion, by the way. Pro-family is anti-abortion. So
exactly. Dismantle the administrative state.
Yes, what that basically means is I want to put in all partisan hacks and political hacks, and if you're not political or partisan, you can just fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. You lose your job. If you're not going to do what I want you to do, then piss off.
Even if you're just part of the administration, part of the fabric,
Yeah, exactly. The third one is defend the nation's sovereignty and borders. That's a no-brainer. That's every country anyway. But I don't know to what extent that goes to. And the last one, which
cages like you did last time.
Things like
like you did last time.
the undocumented immigrants at the moment, and getting them out and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a good point.
mass deportation.
Yeah, which would be bad for their economy, because a lot of those people, like you alluded to before, are doing all the lower paid jobs at the moment. So who's going to do that?
He'll kill the economy. They're idiots. They're complete idiots.
Oh, exactly. And the last aim of the main ones is, and this is quite frightening, God-given individual rights to live freely. So that just scares me.
I don't even know what that means. I've got no idea what that means.
It's moving towards, you know how you're getting the Christian right parties.
The Christian nationalists.
Yeah. So it's a lot of that rhetoric where what they say is what people need to follow, and whatever that means could be quite dangerous.
Like the 10 Commandments they just put in Louisiana.
Yes, in all schools.
That sort of shit.
All that.
Yeah. So as I said, Project 2025 is pretty horrible. Don't have it as your bedtime reading, because you'll never sleep. Seriously. So.
No, it's giving me nightmares already.
No, well, I talk about it, so you don't need to look at it. Some had speculated he would be charged with insurrection or aiding insurrection, but that is not one of the charges. He's denied wrongdoing, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, usual story.
So when is the trial? It doesn't look like it'll happen anytime soon. Trump launched an appeal in this case, claiming he had broad immunity from prosecution as president due to a 1982 precedent that recognized immunity in civil cases. Unbelievable. Lower courts rejected Trump's claim. Every lower court rejected the claim of immunity. Only when it went to the Supreme Court,
where it's stacked.
Yep. Trump has limited immunity for official acts he carried out as president, but a lower district court will now decide which of the charges Trump faces in this federal indictment and can and cannot be deemed official. there's a strong chance that some of the charges may not survive. If Trump wins re-election, he'll just pardon himself and order all the charges to be dismissed. It's just what they can do in that country is just ridiculous. Seriously, it's the most ridiculous thing.
It is
penalties
far from democracy. Sorry.
Sorry. It's terrible. No, you're right. No, you're spot on. You're 100% right. Penalties for the charges include conspiracy to defraud the US is punishable by a fine of 5 years in prison, and obstructing official proceeding is punishable by a fine of up to 20 years in prison. So that's what they were trying to get him on, because obviously not certifying. And although this is the thing with him, he absolutely operates like a mafioso boss. He's always hands off, but he's always in deep. And this is how he is with everything. I mean, Michael Cohen sort of laid it all out in the court case where he's just been convicted on 34 felonies of fraud, of political fraud. Conspiracy against rights is punishable by a fine of not more than 10 years in prison. But there are logistical, security, and political questions around whether would actually serve time in jail if he was convicted. A conviction at trial would take the US into uncharted territory. So, yeah, so there you go. It's
frightening.
It is a bit, but
scary times ahead.
It is, but seriously, all you have to do is just go, okay, I know this guy's a bit old, but he's not a nutbag, and he's not going to do things that are going to directly affect my life on how I want to do the things I want to do. I mean, even if you want to have anti-abortion, if it was up to you and you were having a kid and you wanted to abort it or not abort it, it's totally your choice. So if it's in a situation whereby you don't really want to have it, but because you're really Christian or whatever, you're going to have to, and you want to make that decision, no one's telling you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I get so mad about when it comes to that. It's like all these anti-abortion people are telling other people what they have to do with their body.
Yep. And it's nearly always men telling what women should be doing. Nearly
always, but it's I tell you, my friend, it's definitely getting worse. There's no doubt about it. But anyway, we should probably go for a break.
Yep.
The Australia Institute produces high-quality research that has real-world impact, whether it's revealing the $10.3 billion in fossil fuel subsidies provided by federal and state governments last year, or our long-standing research advocating for a federal anti-corruption commission with real teeth. We change minds. To donate, head on over to australiainstitute.org.au.
When you give blood, you're more than just a blood donor. You're the lifeblood of Australia. Search Give Blood and book your donation with Australian Red Cross Lifeblood today. Give life. Give blood.
Okay. Alrighty. On Reality Check, where we fact check nut jobs claims on certain things, as the description says.
Want a better word?
Yes. I'm going to rant a bit about a nut job that wants to be a PM here in Australia.
Not Spud.
Yes, we all affectionately know him as Potato Head, Spud Head, but it's Peter Dutton, of course.
Yes.
Yes. So
I'll just get the sound ready.
Yep. Okay. He has recently announced his nuclear policy that will work yes, that's the one. The bullshit meter, the bullshit buzzer. So he's recently spruiked his nuclear policy that will work in tandem with the renewable policy that he wants to set out.
Oh yeah, because he loves renewables. He can't
he
get
does.
enough.
Oh, exactly. Of course, he did announce it with a lot of hang on, no, he didn't announce any detail, did he? It was barely even a one-page manifesto. So talk about the man who said, oh, if you don't know, don't vote no in the
I think
campaign.
Chris Bowen has started using that. I think he's
has he? Good.
Yeah, I think he's lent it and gone as Peter would say, if you don't know, vote no.
Vote no. Yeah, exactly. So I'm voting no already on this because it is a lot of bullshit. But apparently lately he's claiming that that the Albanese's plan to introduce renewables will cost in excess of $1 trillion.
Where does he make his figures up from? Seriously, where does he get this bullshit from?
I think he just wipes his ass and goes, "Oh yeah, that looks about right." That all looks shit. I don't like Albo's policy, so I will just make shit up. I think he's learning from Trump. Just make shit up.
Yeah. Yes.
And
yep.
Eventually, it will stick. That said shit.
Yeah.
So the cost, that $1+ trillion, I don't know where he's getting it from. I think he's adding all costs involved that might even use renewable energies, but the direct cost of introducing renewables is nowhere near that.
I think he's carrying the one too many times when he's doing the maths. I think that's his problem.
Yeah, that's why he was a copper. He was never a teacher of maths or anything, so he didn't have to worry about the numbers.
God. Of course.
Yeah. And of course, his relying on the small modular reactors, the nuclear reactors, in providing cheap, fast nuclear power. The problem with that is that up until now, there is still no commercially available SMRs on this planet. A lot of countries and organizations around the world are still developing that technology, and it could be ready in 1 or 2 years, or it could be another 5 or 10 years before the SMRs are viable as a commercial product. So
what's the 7 that he is trying to get up in 10 to 15 years? Are they SMRs or what are they?
Yeah, so his plan is all SMRs. So basically SMRs are, instead of having your big nuclear reactor that sits above the ground that uses a lot of water and obviously you still need the uranium to source from somewhere. We've got plenty of it here in Australia. But those bigger reactors take decades almost to build. Whereas the SMRs, because they're a lot smaller, they can be built in factories. They actually get built partially underground as opposed to on top of land. And so I think the idea behind the SMRs is, if there was to be an accident, the exclusion zone is only roughly 2 kilometers instead of 16 kilometers from a bigger one, like Chernobyl, the one in Japan when it exploded several years ago. They have a bigger radius of radiation, whereas the SMRs are a lot smaller. So in that respect, it's better, safer.
Yeah, but it's the old adage. It's the old adage, though. What are you doing with the waste?
Yeah, exactly. There's still no clear sites where you want to put them, and there's no council shire is saying, yeah, bring it over here. I'll take the nuclear waste.
Every single state and every single council, every single place they want to put it, no one fucking wants it.
Exactly. Even some of the few liberal premiers have said they don't want it.
No, definitely.
Yes, and so
It's a brain fart to delay going to renewables so that they can extend the life of coal for even longer, because they get heaps of cash as the Liberal Party from all the coal companies. So if those coal companies don't exist, the amount of kickbacks that the Liberal and Labor, but Liberal in particular, will minimise hugely. And the other thing about this too is that it's only going to make up 3% of our mix. 3%.
Yeah. That's pretty small. And because it's government-led, it's a government-led project with nuclear, we've got history on how bad governments run these projects. Have a look at the Snowy 2.0, the hydro project that's happening just outside of Canberra, New South Wales. In 2017, it was estimated that was going to cost $2 billion and take 8 years. So technically, we should have had that ready by now, but it's 2024 and it's not ready. The Snowy 2.0 has blown out from $2 billion to $12 billion and still growing. So they've grossly underestimated the cost and time. They did
that with the NBN as well, didn't they?
Exactly. Oh, hang on. Who was running those two? Oh, it was Malcolm
funny.
Turnbull.
Yeah.
Malcolm Turnbull, both of them. And the Snowy Hydro probably won't even be ready for at least another 2 or 3 years. Because they're digging almost 27 or 28 kilometers of tunnel under the Snowy Mountains. And it's just taking a very long time. So technically, it's a massive challenge. But yeah, they've had delays after delays and cost overruns and things like that. So there's a great example of a government project, big infrastructure project that has just ballooned. So whatever detail Dutton has in his head, if and whenever he announces the detail, I would probably add a 0 to that.
Maybe a
to
couple.
That number. Yeah.
Maybe a couple of zeros. Yeah, look, exactly right. And the other thing as well is, I mean, when they were in, they couldn't even build a car park. How are they going to build 7 freaking small modular reactors? Not dismissing the fact that we don't even have nuclear technology in this country to do that.
Yeah. Where are we going to get the nuclear scientists?
I mean, if this actually minimised costs going forwards in energy, and somehow it was an accompaniment to helping with the climate crisis going forwards, you would sort of think about it maybe seriously, but it doesn't. It doesn't at all. It's 3% of the mix. Apparently, it's 600 billion or whatever it is. It's pretty ridiculous. No, it won't be billion, it'll be million. But it's something pretty ridiculous. And the other thing, I was just listening the other day as well, and I don't know if we've buried the lead on this, but apparently when we bought the AUKUS submarines, we had to sign a nuclear proliferation. Yeah, that one, proliferation. A nuclear proliferation treaty to say that we will not have a nuclear industry of any kind on this island, i.e. Australia.
Yeah. So I don't even know how.
So how do you get around that?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how you get around that.
Yeah, it shouldn't have even been a topic to talk about with other countries because we can't. Legally, we've signed agreements that we wouldn't do it.
I find it just hilarious how much this is picked up in the news, and the things we actually need to do, and we need to just get on and get them done, which is everything to do with renewables. To explain more, there needs to be far more conversation, far more journalistic articles, etc., that are explaining how the renewables work, why they minimize cost, why it's better for the environment, and how we need to go forwards, et cetera, and all the different ways. And, and obviously nuclear it doesn't get a mention, because the fact is that we've got to get to a certain greenhouse gas emission target by 2030. This thing's not even going to be ready till nearly 2050.
No.
So, it blows out the 2030. And the Liberal Party are talking about that right now, blowing out their 2030 target, I believe.
Yeah. I think if they come into power, they're talking about removing all those all those commitments and things like that. So it will just be going backwards.
They're not coming into power anytime soon. They've got to get
No,
past.
let's hope not.
Well, they've got to get past the Teals. And I think the Teals are doing very good things for their electorates and constituents. So I think they're very happy with what's happening.
I think what government should be focusing on is continue with the renewables, solar, wind, and water, so hydro. But instead of investing money in nuclear, they should be investing money in battery technology, because that is where we save that energy created freely from renewables for the long term. So as they claim, if it's not raining or if it's not sunny, then we don't get the free energy. So battery storage is the key. So
you do need some base load. I understand that. I'm not a complete cretin from that point of view, but as Sol Griffiths keeps telling us, we need to electrify Australia, basically.
For sure.
And we need to do it, as fast as we can. And the faster we do it, the cheaper it will be. It's just
it's a lot
phenomenal.
cheaper at the moment. So the wind and solar is a lot cheaper to create per megawatt. So it's just a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. It is an absolute no-brainer. And I'm just having a look at a couple of things here. So they're saying, nuclear technology may be viable in the future. Yeah, maybe after we've got to our 2030 target, but definitely not before, because it won't be doing any favors for us. Any at all. They'll still be. The thing is with nuclear, the most ridiculous thing about this is that we are so far behind as a country because we've never needed to use it.
Yeah.
The people
why
that have
start
it,
from scratch and decades behind, like you said, from others?
Why specialize in something we don't bloody specialize in?
Yeah.
It's just, it's ridiculous. It's just so stupid. But anyway. But something that is not stupid is Nature Calls.
Now it's time for...
But before we go there, I need to fact check Orange Head. And
yes, I was going to say we've gone a bit too early on Nature's Call. I'm glad you
pulled that back.
Yeah.
So I will fly through some of Trumpy's inaccurate lying, inaccurate statements. I've only got 4 or 5, but I'm going to fly through these because I've got a little video I'm going to play in a minute. Goes for a couple of minutes, and it basically says everything I need to. So he claimed on the debate night in 2024 that Biden wants to raise taxes 4 times and let the Trump tax cuts expire, which is just a load of rubbish. But Biden's tax proposals target high income earners and maintain tax cuts for individuals earning less than $400K. A Trump statement that gas prices were 1.86 per gallon when he left office is misleading. Gas prices varied and were higher than this during most of his term, and they had increased by the time he left office. Trump's claim that migrant crime is unprecedented levels due to Biden policies is complete crap. And data, on that one, And data and studies show that immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than native-born citizens, and violent crime rates are in historic lows. I was going to say that. The crime rate across America is at historic lows. It's one of the lowest it's been. When Orange Head was in, it was at the highest.
Yeah, not surprised.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
That is.
The Trump assertion that Biden caused inflation, blah, 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 is misleading. While inflation was low when Trump left office due to pandemic's economic slowdown, this is what Biden was talking about in the debate. The reason that inflation was so low when he was in is because there wasn't any jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So since he's come in, he's created 15 million jobs. So anyway, Trump's claimed that he offered 10,000 National Guard troops for January 6th, and that Nancy Pelosi rejected that offer is, as we know, complete crap. Pelosi, one, did not have the authority to reject such an offer, and there is no record anywhere of him actually making that call. We know how much this guy lies. These falsehoods during debate indicated a deliberate attempt to mislead the audience. I mean, he just lied for 90 minutes, basically. I don't even know if there was one truth that he told. There might have been, but I'm not sure. Yes, absolutely. No, I've just gone through a couple of those, but this guy does it better than I can, so I thought we might as well.
After birth, an egregious lie that is illegal in every state. He said everybody, even Democrats, wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. Roe was supported by 2/3 of Americans, even more Democrats. He said every legal scholar wanted Roe overturned, abortion returned to the states. Legal scholars have told me directly this is not true. He said the U.S. currently has the biggest budget deficit ever. No, that happened under Trump in 2020. He said the U.S. currently has a record trade deficit with China. That also happened under Trump in 2018. He said Biden personally gets a lot of money from China. Zero evidence of this. He said there were no terror attacks during his presidency. In fact, there were multiple attacks. He said Iran didn't fund Hamas, Hezbollah, other terror groups under his presidency. Iran, in fact, did. He said Biden wants to quadruple people's taxes. That is pure fiction. He said the U.S. has provided way more aid to Ukraine than Europe had. It's actually the opposite. He said the U.S. has provided about $200 billion in Ukraine aid. It's closer to $110 billion. He said 18 or 19 million people have crossed the border under Biden. That is millions too high. He said many of these migrants are from prisons or mental institutions. His own campaign cannot corroborate this. He said Biden has only created jobs for illegal immigrants. Total nonsense. He said Nancy Pelosi turned down his offer of 10,000 National Guard troops on January 6th. There's no evidence she even got such an offer. It was the president, not Pelosi, who had the power to deploy the DC Guard. He said Pelosi now acknowledges she turned down the troops. No, her office tells me this claim is still a lie. He said he deployed the National Guard to Minneapolis in 2020. Actually, that was the Democratic governor. He spoke of, quote, ridiculous fraud in the 2020 election. Zero evidence of any widespread fraud. He said NATO was going out of business before he took office. Completely, clearly absurd. He said the U.S. was paying 100% of NATO before he came along. The U.S. made up about 71% of NATO defense spending, not 100. He said he, not Biden, is the one who lowered insulin prices in Medicare. He did it for some seniors, but Biden did it for far more. He said Biden indicted him. Again, no evidence Biden has had a personal role in any of these 4 prosecutions. He said Europe takes no U.S. cars, just not true. He spoke of food prices quadrupling under Biden. That's a wild exaggeration, though they are up. He said Biden made up the idea he called dead service members suckers and losers. No, the Atlantic magazine reported that, and then former Trump chief of staff John Kelly corroborated it. He said Biden called black people, quote, super predators for 10 years. Biden never once deployed that phrase, let alone for 10 years, though he did at least once speak of, quote, predators without specifying it was about black people. He said his Trump tax cut was the largest in U.S. history. Not true, though, in fairness, Biden also said this. Trump said China and others stopped buying from Iran under him. China never stopped. He revived his pet lie. I don't know how many times I've done it, that he signed the Veterans Choice Program into law. Barack Obama did that in 2014. Trump signed an expanded version in 2018. And finally, Trump said Biden got rid of that Veterans Program. Biden has not done that.
So there you go.
Man, that was a very quick summary of 90 minutes of lies in 3 minutes.
It was nice, wasn't it? I was like, he could do it much better than I can, so I might also just play it. So, but saying that, we're going to finish off with something that's a bit nice, but just before we do, we'll go to a quick break, and then we will be back with Nature Calls.
Hey this is Hannah Melville-Ray from the Australia Institute. I'm listening to the new Blurt with Wencee and the Kegsta, and you should be too. It's on Tuesday nights, live from around 8 p.m.
And now it's time for When Nature Calls with Wencee and the Kegsta on the new...
Oh, there, big fella. That's the wrong Nature Calling. Oh, right. Here is a new segment, Nature Calls. It's all about the wonderful world of... Wonderful world. Sorry, Wencee.
Nature Calls. So tonight, frogs and jacuzzis. As it says, did you hear the one about a frog in a sauna? Well, yes, it could be a joke, or it could be real, and it could be really good for frogs. So this is a really interesting article from Macquarie University, and they've developed a simple heat-based method to help endangered frogs survive a deadly pandemic. The collaboration with the University of Melbourne focuses on the fungal disease chytridiomycosis. I'm not going to say that 6 times fast. Chytridiomycosis has already led to the extinction of 6 amphibian species in Australia. And the research offers a potential lifeline for species like the green and golden bell frog, which has lost 90% of its native habitat in Australia. So this research has been pretty damn good. And it was published in Nature. The findings published in Nature, that's a magazine, provide the first simple, inexpensive, and widely applicable strategy against the chytrid fungus. That's what we just talked about, the chytridiomycosis. It's from the chytrid fungus. And it causes great damage to global biodiversity than any other recorded disease or invasive species. So it's pretty bad. The disease has led to the presumed extinction of 90 species and a significant decline in 124.
Wow.
So this is bad. That's bad news. But this is better news.
I want to hear some good news.
Yes, so this is better news. So this isn't the good news. So this is nature news, and unfortunately, sometimes it's not always as good as we want it to be.
True.
That's why we need to improve on it. But anyway, the study demonstrated that artificial hotspot shelters, and I've got a good picture of a few frogs in a sauna afterwards. I can show you how they're enjoying it. The study demonstrated that the artificial hotspot shelters made from materials like bricks and PVC greenhouses can reduce chytrid infections in frogs.
Okay.
So using these hotspots, they're able to bake off the infections effectively.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
It is. And these hotspots act like a mini med spa, allowing frogs to heat their bodies to temperatures that destroy the chytrid fungus. So frogs that survive, go for it.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, I wonder what temperature that is, because it must be, I thought fungus needed to be like a high temperature, or is that bacteria?
Well, look, it's a fantastic question. I don't have any information on how hot it is. I might be able to look at that though, because that would be interesting. But I mean, saunas as a rule are pretty bloody hot, aren't they?
Yeah.
Probably what, around 35, 6, maybe
40?
even hotter. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's interesting because you think about a little frog and it heating up a bit much, considering that it's a water dwelling animal. So it's interesting. Frogs that survive the chytrid infections can develop acquired immunity and increase their resistance to future infections.
Interesting. That's good result.
It is. It's very much so. So broader implications of future directions. The simple intervention can be easily scaled up and implemented in a community involvement. And the research highlights the value of cross-disciplinary and cross-institutional collaborations in addressing global environmental problems. So it's Professor Lee Skerritt of the University of Melbourne believes that strategy can be applied to other endangered frog species threatened by chytridiomycosis. Lowering the mortality rates and boosting immunity are key to protecting amphibians from this widespread disease. Yeah, I found that really, really interesting. I did not know about that at all, and I thought I would bring it to the listeners. Now, I've got a nice picture here of some frogs really enjoying their sauna. So I'll just show you that.
So is this AI generated? I was really expecting something real. I thought they were going to be in a hot house of some sort.
I know. That's why I didn't want to bury the lead on that one. So,
with a towel wrapped around their nether regions. And,
exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. So, for those at home, it's a image of 3 frogs having a beer and having a cigar in a sauna. So, the link will be in the show notes if you want to have a look at it. So, there you go. But that's me done. That's a nice little bit of news there, I think. So I like that. I like that one.
Yeah. And to finish off on a happy note as well, recently there was a competition on wildlife photography from photographers around the world, and these are always pretty cool because it's amazing the patience that you must have to take these spectacular photos. So I'm just going to do a show and tell and go to the first one called Tender Touch. And it's 2 little white rabbits.
Oh, that's so
touching,
cute.
It is touching noses. Oh, they're not rabbits, they're hares in Scotland. They're hares.
So cute. What an amazing photo.
Yeah, it's a great photo. I'll go on to the next one. There's quite a few. The Happy Turtle by Zai Finkelstein, an Israeli photographer. And they've taken a photo of a turtle with a smile, or is it a smile, or trying to eat a dragonfly that is sitting on its nose?
It's a good question. I wonder what is trying to happen there, but the picture is just off the planet.
Yeah, it just looks so happy. It's like it's playing with the dragonfly.
No, it's very good. Very, very good.
The next one is called Ice Bed by Nima Sarikani, and it's a polar bear taking a nap on an iceberg in Norway. That looks quite
Norway.
Cute. Yeah,
yes,
just the colours and the composition is just amazing.
They are too, because those things will eat you and kill you.
Exactly. And I went to Switzerland once many years ago, a couple of decades ago now, and it was near winter, and my cousins took me to a glacier in the mountains in Switzerland, and I remember walking through it, and the blue that you see there in that iceberg does not do it justice, so the blue underneath the polar bear that's near the ocean. Yeah, it's just amazing the colors that you see when you're in an iceberg, or a glacier, because of similar composition.
Yeah.
So that reminded me of that.
Oh my God! What is
that? The next one is called Missed Sip of Milk. A baby calf, a whale calf, is swimming away after missing with some milk that's obviously they didn't get to drink out of its mother's mother's milk, so it's just the wisp of milk floating in the water, and beautifully shot.
Honestly, seriously, how much talent have these people got? It's just ridiculous. But I mean, you have to be in the right place at the right time. But I mean,
exactly.
Oh wow, that's nuts too.
The next one is called Starling Murmuration by Daniel Denescu. I don't know how you pronounce his surname. It's based
from
German-Romanian photographer. There you go.
German-Romanian.
Yeah. So the photo is of flock of starlings, but the shape that it's that the still image has captured looks like it's a photo of a starling, from that flock.
I know,
as
that's crazy.
it's flying in the air. It's just it looks like
crazy.
a bird.
It does.
Just
That's nuts.
the timing is amazing. Next one. This one's a little bit sad. Rubbish Drinks by Claire Waring.
Oh, wow.
It's a celebs crested macaque in Indonesia drinking water out of rubbish on the side of the road or at a tip. I'm not sure exactly where that is.
Do you know Indonesia has so much rubbish and so much plastic? Apparently more than many other Asian countries. They have so much plastic that their plastic comes all the way to the north of Australia.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And there's a part right up north where there's many indigenous and mainly indigenous in Australia, and they have that washed up on their beach, and they're just like,
gross.
What can we do? It's coming from frickin' Indonesia.
Yeah, it comes from other countries, doesn't it? And that's the problem. We can be as environmentally conscious as possible, but other countries are not.
True, but we need to be a lot more as well. I still see heaps of people having those water bottles. I mean, there's no doubt there's way more people nowadays having reusable bottles, which is fantastic. But, you know.
I don't care if you're using a Stanley Cup, that whatever they're called. At least that's better than buying fresh water every time you need it when you go out. So.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Absolutely, 100%. So.
Yeah. We'll continue with the photos. Here's another one called "Looking at Me, Looking at You" by Johnny Marriott. It's a grizzly bear standing on its hind legs in a river, I'm assuming, fishing for salmon in Canada, in Canada's Chilco River.
That thing will kill you. No doubt about that. That thing will kill you.
Yeah.
And apparently down or uphill you're stuffed, because I believe if you're running downhill, I think they roll up into a ball or something, and then and then they catch you on the other side. That could be complete and utter crap, but
sounds like you got some homework there.
Yeah, it sounds like I may. Yeah, I may.
Giving yourself some homework, but yeah, that's a good photo.
You might have to put the letter in.
Yeah,
so I remember. Oh, that's beautiful. I can't believe that's a photo. That's ridiculous.
I know. So this is called Swallow Over Meadow by Herman Hirsch and Jan Lessman. What it looks like, it's a barn swallow flying above some blue cornflowers, but the photo's taken from the ground looking up into the sky.
Kidding?
So yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
How? I mean, how did he know that was coming along? It's just nuts. What's he just laying the paddock all day with a camera and just here we go.
Yeah, just looking up in the sky with his camera or their camera, both of them. Another one. The next one is A Rare Sight by Axel Gomil, and it's an Ethiopian wolf sitting amongst some purple flowers in the mountains there.
Isn't that a beautiful looking animal? Oh, just look at the ears, just lovely. Really
reminds me a little bit of a dingo.
Yeah, very much so. A big one, but
a big one. Yeah. Just
a lot of sort of wild. There's a particular wild dog that doesn't look like a dingo, but there is quite a few sort of those type of animals that do look quite dingo-esque. Yeah, it's lovely. That's very nice.
Yeah. Another one is Duckling Huddle by Charles Davis. It's very cute, mother and little ducklings.
It is cute. In the snow. It's probably my least favorite. I mean, it's super cute, but it's probably my least favorite compared to some of the other amazing photos you've shown me.
That was shot here in New South Wales, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
I still think it's lovely, but I just think
this one's funny. Opportunity Fox, another one that looks like the other one was a wolf, but this one's a fox. Yeah. It's a photo of a fox peering through an opening in a rubbish bin on the side of a footpath. Quite quite funny.
And where's that? That's
United Kingdom photographer. Prowling the streets of London. So
yes,
middle of London.
I used to see foxes at the back of my place when I was in London.
There you go.
Yeah, you see them walking about. That's an amazing photo.
This one's a good one. The Grassland Galadas by Marco Gaiotti. 2 monkeys with one of them with a baby, having milk from the mother, sitting in Ethiopian mountains. But the colors and the composition is just amazing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The composition is just off the charts. Look at the clouds in the background. That is just so crazy.
Dark and ominous.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Let's carry on. Troublemaker by Stefan Christman. Some penguins, emperor penguins feeding a hungry baby penguin. That looks quite pretty. These ones are always great. Aurora jellies, so northern lights and jellyfish that glow in the dark in a fjord in Norway. That's a good one.
That's nuts.
There's heaps more, but I think I might just wrap it up on this one. I'll put the links in the show notes. This will be the last one. Neighborhood dispute. Looks like a mud skipper and a crab are having a fight in Roebuck Bay. Where is that? Is that
I don't know.
WA? Is that WA?
I don't know. You go. You've got some homework.
Crab with blue pincers. It looks like it's about to attack the mud skipper.
I know. That's an amazing photo. It's such a good photo. Oh, wow. That's such a good photo.
Yeah, so it's a good one. That's called Neighborhood Dispute by Offa Levy.
Nice work.
Yeah. So a few more, but show notes. You can go look at them.
Yeah, well, that's a lot, people. Quite a long show tonight. And we will ensure that that's out probably. We'll aim for Sunday, but probably more than anything, it'd be more like Monday or Tuesday, I would have thought.
Yeah. Bit busy in this household at the moment, so we'll see how quick I can punch it out once you've done your bit, and then I can do my bit.
Yes, well, that's exactly right. I'll see how we go because I'm out on Sunday, and then we've got our puke on Friday. So
yes,
you will be there in spirit. We know.
I always am.
Yes, absolutely. And then we'll have our own mini one when I see you the week after.
Yes, not much longer, just over a week.
No, going to be up there soon, so it should be keep the weather warm. We want some warm weather.
Yes, we're getting rid of it this week. It's full of rain until the weekend, and hopefully after that it'll be, smooth sailing and nice weather, hopefully.
All right, beautiful, excellent. Well, look, that's enough for me tonight. If you've hung around and got to the end of the show, thanks very much for listening. Trying to get to 11,000. We're not far away from that, so that'll be good from a download point of view. Thank you. If you have been downloading, absolutely awesome. As usual, Wencee, thank you for your contribution. It was
always
invaluable as always. And I will say good night all, and we'll see you next week.
And good night for me. See you next week.